Good evening. This is Emily. My from Yesterday Stash is my Etsy store, and we have a local thrift store that also carries sewing leftovers. And lately, we have just been getting these. What comes is these huge bags, big, like the largest size plastic. Not a little bit larger than a gallon size, and then it's well wrapped with strapping tape, and it just has the price tag on it, so you can't really open it when you're there, and so you have to take a chance on when you come home what you're getting. And so I have picked up 4 or 5 bags of that over the past year, when it's there. And I think what they do is they take, the bags are a combination of different people's donations. So you don't, even though these might all be 1.5-inch squares, they don't have a rhyme or reason or a look as if you knew that it was going to be a creation. So someone has just taken and cut out all of these beautiful, so there's greens, there's cream colors, there's yellows and oranges. So there's no rhyme or reason to how these come together. I've sort of loosely played with it just a little bit to see, what I can come up with or what makes sense. Some really pretty floral prints in there. So it is as if someone cut these out to make, some sort of a color combination of either a blanket or a placemat or whatever. But that's going to be a challenge for me to try to figure out what I can do with some of these and incorporate this in with, with projects that I'm working on. Another thing that came down through is this, the yo-yos. And what that was is they all were in different shapes or of circles, rounds, all different. So, like, again, there was no rhyme or reason to the combinations. And so I have, because they are 4 inches, I can make them into yo-yos, which is what I've been doing here, and then added a button or something in the middle to make it a nice accent on a page in a junk journal. Yo-yos are called yo-yos in the United States, but they're not called yo-yos in other countries. Other countries have different names for them, but this is a book, Perfectly Portable Projects, where you can make yo-yos and turn it into all sorts of different things. Placemats, to add it to an accent on a child's dress, to add it to a pair of shoes, to add it to a hair clip, to add it to make a vest, to make a blanket, to make a placemat, to make tablecloth. All sorts of things can be done, with yo-yos. Another thing is just perfectly formed squares of 4-inch squares. So, and again, there's no rhyme or reason as to a color coordination or concept of what to do with it. So that's going to be another challenge. So I've got these 1.5-inch squares, and I've got these 4-inch squares, and then another bag was full of all tiny little bits and shapes, but hexagons and squares were the two shapes. And some of the white I've gone on and coffee dyed. And hexagons. These are hexagons that I dyed to maybe add them as an accent on the side of a page, or somehow use them. But here's all kinds of the white. They almost look it looks like maybe a white muslin. And so all of these hexagons, and then there's colored hexagons in blues, pinks, oranges, and you can see where the person who cut them out by the color, you know, went on and added this, the way to, you know, contain the different shapes or colors with a needle and thread. So this is going to be also a challenge that I've already been working on ways to use these, but just unlimited different ideas and colors. Another bag contained, and I didn't realize that it was flannel when I brought it home, and again, all sorts of different shapes and color combinations. Obviously, this was going to be something that the person wanted done, and in all of these different color combinations of browns and greens, and you know, just really exciting to see someone's work be cut out into all of these, but then they don't, you know, end up doing anything with it, and then it ends up in a thrift store, in a bag, and you have to figure out, if you bring it home, what you're going to do with it. This is a whole clump that was in the tan family, and it's stripes, it's belly bands size, and straight, you know, just straight across, and then the long ones that are in here. And then this is all the burgundy brick color in that family. I've kind of tried to join them together so that to try to make some sense of the different patterns, but it is just amazing what has come out of that bag, is all of these different shapes and sizes and colors and browns and so forth and so on. Obviously, you know, something fall foliage, because it's really pretty. Some of these are just really pretty fall combinations. So again, we've got this, you know, this coming up for a challenge for me to work on. And then in another bag, stuffed into another bag, is this, but it's not flannel. So, but it is a combination of that started out as looked like the person was going to do some squares with it, or started doing some piecing together. And they use this tone, what we call, I guess it's called tone on tone fabric, that I saw some in one of the bags. It had a big, you know, pretty big piece of this tone on tone fabric. But, you know, just really, really pretty combinations. And again, dark browns, medium browns, oranges, and tans. So we'll see what we can do with that combination. Another combination is this is the biggest combination that I could not believe. Actually, I was able to get all of this for $4, but and the big pieces of fabric were in there. And it started out with these are what I saw, and actually it's 12 squares have been sewn in different shapes. So obviously it was going to be a quilt of some sort, but I think these would be good to put together, put something in between, a heat and bond or something, and combine these together to make, you know, to make books in a journal, in a junk journal. So I think that that, you know, that's a possibility. And then depending on the number of pages I need in that book, I would join together these leftover And it does look like this was pulled apart. You can see that somehow she wasn't, or he wasn't pleased with, and they started pulling a lot apart. Now, don't know what that means. However, I can certainly take these and join them into fours and come up with a nice cloth book using these different quilt squares and combinations. But also, you can take this and make it into a pocket on a smaller journal and have this left over as well. And another interesting thing is I went a big bag of just yo-yos. Just keeps going on and on. I'm not going to dig anymore. But I looked to see if the color combination was the same. This is more coral and pinks and burgundies, and this is more of a burnt orange, it is a coral. The corals don't, maybe one shade of this coral combination would work if I wanted to. But I'm just thinking that I could use these as, you know, as accents on pages in books, or on tags, or in tuck spots, or, you know, all different ways to use this combination, or come up with ways to combine these together. Like I'm thinking I could take this huge combination here of either the 4-inch or these 1.5 inches, and see if any of these colors would go together, and then maybe I could make some sort of a little creation using some of these. So I've got my work cut out for me as far as how to take these and use them, but you almost feel like you cannot just let them sit there in the store and nobody, you know, and would be interested in these. Or I'm sure that, you know, this is actually a 1-inch. So, but there's certainly a way I can probably divide these up and see if I can work on putting those tiny itty bitty yo-yos together with something. Another thing that has been coming down is this. And what has come out of that is this is just plain white fabric. These are some 3-inch yo-yos, but it was the beginning of an orangish, and this is that tone-on-tone fabric of which I was mentioning. It's right here, and you know, that is a white-on-white, basically, tone. This is a plain with no pattern in it, woven into it. But you can see that the person had a great plan in mind, because they were cutting all of these different shapes, and then this came out of it, and this was a color that went with it, was this tie-dyed, and then a plain orange tie-dyed. And then going with that, with all of these, they were starting to put these in combination. And that's what these are. And then this was thrown in there with it. It's a bunch of brown tags, or tag type, little pieces of different oranges. And some of them were sewn. Here's a combination sewn together of the orange and a fall foliage, and then also this design using that orange, and then the tie-dye and the tone-on-tone. And these are the only ones that are joined together, but there is this big stack that could be used, and also this could be folded down and ironed and then could be actually used, you know, as a sewn edge of a page, or could actually be a small little pocket. You could add a piece of trim or lace or something on it, or join it together, but not very much is left of this, and I can't see a rhyme or reason for how these are combined together. So that's going to be another challenge. Another thing that I have found was this kit, and it all came together in an old box for I think it was $4, and it's all of these weavings using this Weave It. This says that if it was sold by itself, it would be $3.50, but it was inside of a box that obviously the person who did all of these weavings would, and then she started joining, or he started joining them together. But what it is this loom here is, and it's, like I say, it's quite old. So the papers go into how you can do different weaving patterns. It's directions for using the Weave It. And, you know, at least it does still have the instructions and how to make different weaves. But this person used all the same weave in all of these. And I have washed them all, and then have begun trying to work with these squares to make tags. So that's what I have been working on, is trying to come up with ways to use these squares with some of the other small bits and pieces of fabric. But this is an interesting small and large Weave It is what it's called, and it has more instructions in here. And I'm not quite sure how old this is, but you can tell by the instructions that it's been around for a while. There was a needle included in here, and some thread, some lace included, and I'll need to look it up and see when Weave It's were when they came. But what I've been ending up doing is using it as a base for a sort of a fabric collage to make tags. And show you some that I have made to give you an idea of how we can take the fabric and you know, cut it out and sew it on to the one side, and then have it plain on the back for use for journaling or for notes or just whatever. So these are some of the different patterns that I have come up with. This is one that I already used some of those yo-yos. I just did a string of yo-yos and put pearls on them. This was actually another kit, which I haven't got in front of me right now, that was a person was actually doing a checkered sewing project. And so I did some colonial knots in here and made it into, and then this is actually just a decoupaged piece of, actually it's from Mrs. Cog's Crafts in Etsy, and this is you know, a pattern that she had. And then this is just taking a bunch of different weaves and putting it together and outlining it, clustering it, taking some of the little pieces of fabric, doing some stitching here, and then putting some eyelash trim in there, taking a piece of lace, and then using one of the yo-yos. This is a combination of a piece of fabric and a ribbon that came with it. And then this is actually taking some of the fabric and, you know, putting it together and making a little pocket for this one. And then this is just taking a couple of the same different pieces of either 1.5, 1 inch, or 3 inch pieces, and just adding charms or whatever I have in my stash that would give it some a usage, and decorating it, embellishing it, and using the back of it for messages or you know, writing cards on. So those are some of the things that I've been working on, and I have a challenge ahead of me to try to figure out how to use all of these different finds. But it's just amazing at the number of different projects that people start on and actually, you know, don't finish, and it goes to you know, to a thrift store, and I get to take it and figure out what to do with it. So thank you for joining me this evening as I embark on these challenges, and we'll talk again soon.